Hi all, I just wanted to tell you guys about the sugar plantation and describing, explaining, and identifying in depth. We're going to look at that. As I said before, this video is very appropriate for the SKAIH Pre-University, the SKAIH Pre-Universitario, but it also pays attention to CSEC, like you see in the left top, and it is also very appropriate, very connecting to the whole Caribbean program of CSEC and the CXC. It is broadly about the Caribbean and the sugar plantations to be found there. Describing the organization of the typical sugar plantation. With typical, like I underscored now, I mean that, of course, in Barbados, in Suriname, in Cuba, there are differences between the sugar plantations. But with typical, I mean, what are the similarities? What do they all have in common, broadly speaking? The question, use of labor. Explain in depth why, this word is important here, the cultivation of sugar was also a back-breaking crop to harvest, cosecha, and process to make refined sugar out of it. Use at least 6 carefully formulated sentences for this. Carefully formulated, I mean by that, begin with a capital, end with a period, and pay attention to your spelling, your grammar, and your forming of phrases. As language is important too within Caribbean history. The first phrase, of course, I connect to the question, being the cultivation of sugar was also a back-breaking crop to harvest because, yes, so here I connect to the question. This is convention. This is how we work at HAVO or at college or at university or at Cape or at VWO, however you call it, within the Dutch system or the Caribbean English system. But referring back to the question is also always a good beginning of an open question. Then second, because, why? Because for too many enslaved Africans, it meant an early death. So a lot of enslaved Africans died because of the back-breaking crop that sugarcane was. Why? The factories, so starting with the mill, ran 24 hours multiple days after cutting the cane. So a lot of slaves had to work very hard for multiple days with not a lot of sleep, and the circumstances in which they had to work were very tough. The reason for this was that cane juice spoils very fast. It needs to be crushed and boiled within the day. So it needs to be crushed within the mill, and the machine is connected to that windmill and boiled within the day. And you can imagine the boiling rooms were very boiling hot and unhealthy, and it speaks for itself that as a punishment, slaves, for instance, on the island of Curacao or at Suriname, were locked up within these boiling rooms as a form of punishment. So they were very unhealthy, they were very bad to the health of the slaves, and even used as a form of punishment. So this speaks for itself. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. I've made this video during break, so after break I will see you again, but perhaps you're now just a few days before break, or a few days after break, or even a few days before the assessment. If you have questions about what I've spoken about in this video, ask them below my YouTube video or drop them at my Google Classroom or whenever you see me. I love questions, so please ask them. They are very useful.